Hey, Jen, welcome to the Easy Conversations podcast. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to talk about your story, and I'm really excited to hear that, and especially around how you've been able to find purpose in your experience, and especially being a mom, right? As a parent, it can be very difficult to navigate some of the things that you've had to go through, but there's obviously an aspect of meaning that you've been able to find through it. And I know when we chatted, you shared that your faith played a huge role in your ability to navigate some of those challenges. So I'm sure we're going to dive into all of that. But before we do, I do want to give you an opportunity to share with the listeners a little bit about yourself and who you are and what's brought you here today.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm super glad to be here. I am Jenn Robb. I've been married for 25 years to my college sweetheart. We have three kids. One's 20, 19, and 17. I'm a nurse practitioner in everyday normal life with a specialty in functional medicine. But most recently, I am the author of Warrior Mom Rising, which is part memoir about our story. It's really about my daughter's mental health struggles, but it focuses more on the mom's perspective, which is obviously mine. And then it's a little bit of self care and self help for those moms as well.
Yeah, for sure. And why was it important for you to write this book?
Well, honestly, I didn't really ever set out to write a book. I mean, I'm a nurse practitioner, right? I've been in medicine for 25 years, and that's kind of like my thriving, thing that I've always done.
Mhm.
But about 9 months ago, I really felt like God was saying, you need to write a book. And so just trying to be obedient to that, that's the path that I went. But the message is clear, right? As moms, we take on so much, right? We work, we have taxi drivers, we're cooking, we're cleaning, we're doing all the things all the time, right? But we often forget how to take care of ourselves. And it's even more so when you have a child who is struggling with mental health.
Mhm.
For me, specifically, my daughter was struggling with severe anxiety, depression, and then ultimately self harm.
Mhm.
And it was about a 2.5 to 3 year process to get her on the other side to where she's thriving. And during that, I realized that I was not taking care of myself and I had almost lost who I was in it because
Yes.
I was working so hard to keep her alive.
Yeah.
And I think that that's an important message for moms is that we still have to take care of ourselves because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I know someone who's kind of gone through something similar. And one of the interesting things they've had to wrestle with is, as you're touching on, finding that opportunity for taking care of yourself. But often that comes with setting specific boundaries. And that could be very tough because I wonder for you if you navigated this, but this individual I'm referring to had to almost accept that it's not in my hands anymore, whether my daughter chooses to live or not, based on her choices. How do you then get to that point? And I wonder if that was something you had to wrestle with in terms of looking at yourself.
So, I mean, it definitely was. There was a point. And again, like as a mom, we're used to controlling kind of all the narratives, right? Especially when our kids are small, we can control where they go, who they hang out with, what they see, all of the things. But she was a teen, she was 13. And yes, like while I have influence on her, I realized at one point, and it was about 2 years into the journey, that I was just going to have to surrender to God
Mhm.
because there was no way I could do it alone. There was just no way. She was in the depths of despair. And to see your child like that, I mean, it's gut-wrenching, right? Like it's painful.
Absolutely.
And you want the best for your child, but the message that I kept hearing over and over and over was, "Jen, she's not yours. She's
Mhm.
mine."
Mhm.
And as much as I love her with all of my heart and would do anything for that child, God said, "I love her more."
Mhm.
And once I surrendered her to him and just said, "You're going to have to help her because I don't know what else to do anymore,"
Yeah.
it was freeing in a way, right? Not that you ever like step back and like
Yeah.
quit doing anything, right? But
Right.
there was a sense of peace almost that said, okay,
Hmm.
God's going to take care of her because she's ultimately his.
Hmm.
And I just have to step back and do the steps in order to help her navigate what she's feeling, how she's thinking, and the steps for her to heal.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, and I can definitely relate to that. I think there's been many times where I've had to come to that understanding that for my son, for example, he's as much as he's my child and I have a responsibility and the love to make sure he's going to be okay, but he's also on his own individual journey. And sometimes I think it's obviously a lot more difficult when they're younger, but I don't think it gets easy at any point. But that's where that surrendering piece comes in because you have to get to the point that, as much as I'm on my own journey in life and I'm making certain choices that will determine what will happen, so is my child. Right. And that's where I'm hearing from you is turning it over. Now, in the therapeutic side, one of the things we talk about is spiritual bypassing, where you just kind of say, hey, it's up to God. I don't I can remove myself. But what I like to bring up in that sense is no, you're still, like you said, you're still putting in the work, you're still making the effort. It's not like you're just giving up and saying, well, I'm not going to do anything now because it's up to God. That's not what I'm hearing from you. But what comes up for you when you hear the whole notion of spiritual bypassing? People refer to that.
I think it's just like in anything else, right?
Hmm.
I think God calls us to certain things,
Hmm.
right? And he is going to equip us to do those things, even if we don't feel equipped. But he doesn't say you can just sit back and things are magically going to fall from the sky,
Right.
right? To make all of your dreams and everything come full circle.
Hmm.
It's just like writing a book, right? If he had called me to write the book and I just said, "Well, I mean, if you want me to write the book, then you're just going to have to put the pen to the paper and then I'll sign my name."
Yeah.
Right? That's not going to happen. But he does give you the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the words to write, right? Because ultimately it's his story. And I think that's just true of anything else. It's just like with, my daughter, her name is Chloe. God was present in those therapy rooms or the counseling rooms with us, but it was me having to advocate for her.
Hmm.
And do I feel like 100% that he gave me the words? Yes. But I still have to get up and do the task every day in
Hmm.
order for his mission to be carried out.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And you've referred to the whole notion of hearing the call and feeling this deep knowing within you to write the book, for example. What does that feel like? Because a lot of people may wonder, well, what does that mean? Like, is it a voice? Is it a intuition? Is it a feeling? I know for me, it shows up in different ways at different times, but it's like I'm being pulled in this direction, and sometimes I'll ignore it because I'm scared. I don't want to take the risk. There's some fear there. There's some doubt that I'm not capable. But then the message or however it's presenting itself gets louder and louder. And it's almost like hard to ignore. So I wonder what that process has been like for you.
So for me, it started off as literally just a thought, like this feeling of saying, like, yes, you need to write a book. And I was like, okay, and I kind of ignored it. And then every day it was just this, like, you need to write a book. And then one day after a next, God would bring certain things into my path. So my husband and I went to a business conference because he's a self-employed insurance guy. And we went to this business conference and they have a guy there that's talking about, we can help you learn how to write a book. We can teach you how to self-publish. We can do all of these things. And it was kind of in that moment that I was like, oh man, Like he's really serious. Because my
Mhm.
husband even said to me, he was like, "You've been talking about this, that you've had that feeling and those thoughts. And I think it's pretty clear now." And so I went and I talked to the guy doing self publishing, and it was an instant just knowing there was a sense of peace. And even writing the book, there was a feeling of, like the human side of me was like, this is daunting. I mean, you think about writing a book and all of the words and the chapters and all of the things, and it was daunting. But at the same time, the words came very easily. Like he was literally just speaking through me. And I think that it can come in a series of different ways, right? For me, it was just a really strong feeling, but it was thought every single day. It just never went away. It was just this relenting thought process that you have to write a book. And for
Yeah.
some people, like some people I've talked to even have dreams.
Yeah, for sure. And coming back to the whole taking care of yourself first and making sure your cup is full, what were the changes you had to make? And then how did you prioritize your own self care? What did that process look like?
As a mom, like again, we're just doing all the things.
Hmm.
And as a mom, you often know, and maybe as a dad, you know too, like you can't even like go to the restroom because you've got little feet following you everywhere. And we live on a small farm that I call our petting zoo. And so for us, it's not just children, it's like animals, and we have dogs and they're just constantly underfoot. But you talk about boundaries, and I realized that I needed to set 15 minutes aside for me a day.
Hmm.
And that was a boundary that I had to draw.
Hmm.
And for me, that was going in my car where my kids weren't going to come find me.
Yeah.
The dogs weren't coming too, but sitting in the car and listening to worship music and just taking that moment of just silence almost, and just listening to the music, but just allowing it to breathe life back into me. But for some moms, it's being able to get up and wash your face every day. It's being able to sit and drink a cup of hot tea at the end of every day, right? The self care doesn't have to look the same for all of us. For me, it was just that worship music that was 10 to 15 minutes a day where I could just literally close the doors and shut out everybody else.
Hmm.
But I think it's important for moms and really for everybody to kind of find whatever speaks to them and kind of refreshes their soul.
Yeah.
If that's washing your face, if that's going to the walking down the street and finding some fresh flowers and picking those fresh flowers and bringing them home and putting them in a vase. Like it doesn't have to be some spa day, nail day, hair day, like I'm all
Yeah.
for those things, but it doesn't have to be that.
Yeah.
It can be in the simplicity of life, and just taking those moments to set a clear boundary. Like this is my time. I just need it in order to kind of refuel, refresh my soul so that I can pour into everyone else that is demanding me in their life.
For sure. And then how do you navigate the whole guilt and shame that comes up from time to time? Because I think that's, I would assume that's almost like a daily battle, reminding yourself why you're taking that time for yourself, even when those feelings of guilt and shame creep in. I'm assuming, like I said, that it is a bit of a process, right? Trying to have that internal dialogue that I'm doing this for a reason. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that if, even if it's 15 minutes, I just have more capacity within me to be able to serve my family. And we feel like, oh, 15 minutes is a lot. That's taking away time from the family, but then you have more to give. And sometimes it's just seeing the bigger picture. But often when you're experiencing that shame or guilt, it's hard to see those things.
I think, especially as a mom, like mom guilt is real. Like we feel
Mhm.
that if we, give our kids the wrong juice and that's not what you know what I mean? Like there's just this kind of, I didn't make you happy in every sense of the word. But one thing that I've had to learn is that you're not always going to make everybody happy
Mhm.
every second of every day. But what you do have to do is take care of yourself and kind of shut off the noise of the mom guilt. And I mean, and if from a Christian aspect, right? Like that's really just the enemy trying to get at you,
Mhm.
right? And he's and just trying to make you feel unworthy. And if you do that, then the whole thing is going to fall apart. The whole ship is going to sink,
Yes.
right? But in the end, that's really just noise. And again, I mean, yes, it is hard, especially when your kids are smaller. Like when they're little, it's harder to do that. And if you don't have a good support system and a spouse, I think it's probably a little bit more challenging.
Mhm.
So for those moms, it's a little bit different. Maybe it's you put everybody to bed, and instead of getting on social media and just scrolling mindlessly, you're taking 10 or 15 minutes of just kind of resetting and finding whatever refreshes your soul. If it's taking a hot 10-minute shower with steam, if it's washing your face, whatever those moments are, you just have to do it,
Mhm.
right? And there's no like you have to do it at this time or the same time every day. It doesn't have to be so like structured and regimented. It
Yeah.
just has to be a daily task that is on your to-do list that you can at least say, I took care of myself for
Mhm.
10 minutes today.
Yeah. Yeah, and how do people I know you're saying you can kind of structure it in, but like you said, it's easy to get distracted and experience that escape, whether it's through your device or maybe even going on social media, like you said. And then that may feel like, oh, I'm just taking time for myself. But how do people actually carve that time out? Because I see so many people struggling to find that time. And it's really, when you look at it objectively, it's 10, 15 minutes of your day, right? And maybe that's where you start, and then you start building up from there. But how do you talk to people, or even in your book, how do you help people figure that out? That, hey, just get 10
Well,
minutes in.
again, it's about setting those boundaries, right? And having the mind shift change that you're
Mhm.
going to set a boundary.
Mm.
And I talk very specifically about having a downtime where you can shut off computers, cell phones, whatever. I do think that it's on the you have to be more intentional, right?
Mm.
Like if you just willy-nilly like, "Oh, I'm just going to like add this in every day," but then you get distracted by cleaning up dishes and then you're, scrolling on social media and you kind of forget, right? Scrolling on social media is not self-care.
No.
Like I live and die by my calendar.
Yeah.
And so for me, I have everything by the day very structured out.
Mm.
And if that's what you need, then so be it. But
Mm.
if you need to set an alarm on your phone that every day because the kids are going to be in bed by 8:30 p.m., by 8:45 you have an alarm on your phone that says me time, right? Like it doesn't have to be something that's so complicated where you have to plan a day and you have to be gone for hours.
Mm.
It's 15 minutes of whatever you would be doing. Typically, by that point, when the kids are in bed, we're all just kind of like, okay, now I can clean up. I can throw in a load of laundry. I can clean up the dishes from dinner. But that stuff can wait. That stuff will be there tomorrow. It will be there in 15 minutes. But if you
Yeah.
don't learn to kind of make yourself a priority, then you wake up one day and you realize that you're really at the bottom of the pile, essentially,
Mhm.
and you have nothing left to give. And
Yeah.
I think that that's really hard for moms, but it's also a very important skill set to learn
Mhm.
that you're not being selfish. Self care is not selfish. Self care is 100% necessary.
Mhm.
And it's just setting alarm. Some people live and die by phones and stopwatch, like all those things, right? And if that's you, then just set it like 8:45 every day. If you're
Mhm.
a morning person, then set it up. If your kids get up at 7, then set it for 6:45 or 6:30.
Right.
Right? It's just being very intentional
Mhm.
and understanding that you are a priority too.
Yeah. And do you think there's an aspect of healing that needs to happen on an individual level before you can have clarity to create the space for yourself? Because coming back to the whole notion of shame, I think a lot of times when we see chaos in our homes where, like you said, if the dishes aren't done and the laundry's not done, that's just reinforcement around the shame message that I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy and I can't keep up with these things. And a lot of the times, the shame drives perfectionist tendencies. So no matter what you do, it's not enough, and that's just reinforcement. So do you think there's an aspect of, coming back to my question, of personal healing that the individual that needs to do before they have more clarity that self-care is something I need to prioritize for me, and it will also help me heal whatever messaging I've been handed down or I've been carrying around for my entire life that was serving a purpose at some point.
It I think one thing is that especially for like I'm like me, I'm like very, very, very high strung, right? Like I can function in mass chaos because that's the way that my brain is geared.
Mhm,
But when being on this journey with Chloe and pouring so much extra into her
mhm,
through that process, when you kind of have this aha moment, right? Like you're slam dunked. I mean, you're just slammed and you wake up and you're just like, I can't get out of bed today. I'm exhausted. My brain needs to shut off. Like I don't have anything left to give. It was kind of in that moment with Chloe that I was like, this is not good. This is not a good place to be.
mhm,
And when you have that moment of, man, I've got nothing left to give, you have to make a decision then. Either you're going to stay on the course that is taking you down a path of destruction, or you're going to pivot and you're going to try to improve minor little things in your life.
mhm,
I was no good to Chloe when I was exhausted, I was moody, everything was on my last nerve,
mhm.
right? Because there's nothing left to give. And I think that you just have to come to a place that says, I am important too.
Mhm.
I am mom, but I am important too. And until you come to that place, the guilt and the shame and the unworthiness of all those things are going to beat you down. But you essentially just have to come to the place where the only place to go is to see up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
You you hit bottom and you're no good to anybody. You can't take care of anybody if you can't take care of yourself. And again, that's why I really I talk about this a lot in the book is moms often feel like, "Oh, I can't take care of me. I can't spend 10 or 15 minutes. I can't buy those flowers for myself because my kids need extra money for school."
mhm,
But if you don't do it, then you're going to feel continuously beat down
mhm,
and you cannot be effective in any kind of way when you don't take care of yourself. Even I mean like 10 to 15 minutes. Like I get it. That's hard for some people. But those dishes are going to be there tomorrow when you wake up.
yeah, yeah,
And like I get it. Like I'm OCD to the nth degree. Like I want my house like neat and tidy all the time. But you just have to come to a place that says this can wait. Is this life or death? And I even talk in the book, like one of the things that like we went, with Chloe, now it was more about her, and it was talking more about picking battles with your child, right? Like, are you going to harp over what she wants to wear? Or is that really the hill you want to die on,
mhm,
right? Is it going to matter in 5 years? So for a mom, I would say if you don't do those dishes right this second, is that going to matter in 5 years?
mhm.
Nobody's going to remember that you didn't do the dishes one night 9:30 at night, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But they will remember that mom got up the next day because she took 15 minutes out of her day to take care of herself, and she was happy, she was joyful, she had purpose, she moved with intention, she showed up, she was present. That's
Mm-hmm.
what they're going to remember.
Yes.
So if we set boundaries for our children, then why can't we set a boundary for ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot let the enemy just continue to attack you. Eventually, you're just going to have to say, "Not today, Satan." You're just going to have to say, "I choose more joy."
Yeah.
And I choose to take 15 minutes for myself, whether it's first thing in the morning, it's in the middle of the day at nap time, or it's in the evening after everybody else has gone to bed and you've done everything else that you think you need to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what I'm hearing from you is you need to get to that place of awareness and see the bigger picture. And I think sometimes people are unable to see that, where they're so stuck in their cycle of the shame spiral. So it's hard for them to claw out of it. But I agree with you. I think you you need to take baby steps. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's that slow progress that you make, and it's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. But how can you create small pockets for yourself where you can gain a bit more awareness and clarity as you're sharing that in the big picture, none of this will matter. What matters is how I'm showing up and how I'm taking care of myself, which will then translate to me being in a better place to take care of others and my
But the
family.
only one that demands perfectionism
Yeah.
is you.
Yeah.
Your kids don't care that you're perfect,
Right.
but they do care if you're constantly exhausted and you're yelling and you're in a bad mood and every little thing sets you off. They do care about that.
Yeah.
So you have to let go. I mean, perfectionism is just an ideal. None of us are ever going to obtain. We're just not. We're not. We're human. We are, and it's okay to be imperfectly perfect
Hmm. Yes.
and say, okay. And yes, I think it's baby steps, but I also think that it's a very much of a cognitive choice, an
Hmm.
intentional choice. And maybe it starts with 5 minutes, right? Maybe you give yourself the grace of 5 minutes a day. And then 2 weeks from now, we've bumped it up to 10 minutes. And then we go up to 15 minutes. And if
Right.
15 minutes is all you need to refresh your soul and to feel rejuvenated, and that you can get up in the morning with a fresh outlook and a perspective, then so be it.
Yeah.
Some people need 30 minutes. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to figure out what refreshes your soul,
Yeah.
but you don't have to do it overnight. And you're not going to flip a switch and be like, well, today I'm going to take care of myself.
Hmm.
It's like you said, it's baby steps, but you have to make the intentional
Hmm.
choice of becoming better.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I think that when you become and you make those intentional choices to become better, it fuels your purpose,
Yes.
right? You are more grounded. You find joy in those small things to get up every day and to carry out the purpose that God has said, this is what I want for you.
Hmm.
Like I remember when my kids were little and you think like, oh man, as a mom, like I'm not doing anything. This is just mundane.
Yeah.
This is unworthy work,
Hmm.
but it's not. Those little moments with those little kids are so important and they need to remember you happy and not sad or mad or angry all the time. They want you to be present. And
Hmm.
now I look back that my kids are, 20, 19, and 17. And of course, there's things that I would do different, but I will never regret taking moments
Hmm.
to just sit and be with them and forget the dishes and to forget the vacuuming and all of those things that you feel like, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this right now. My kids don't remember me ever vacuuming. They're like, oh, mom didn't vacuum that day. But they
Yeah.
do remember me getting down on the floor and playing blocks or going outside and playing on the swing set.
Yes.
That is an intentional choice as well. Do you know? And so giving yourself grace and accepting that you're imperfectly perfect and then setting a boundary for yourself are super important.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the times I hear parents say when they see their child struggling, especially with their mental health, they'll often blame themselves that what if I gave this to them? What if it's something I did that is affecting my child? So there's a lot of guilt there as well. Again, I'm curious if that is something that crossed your mind and how were you able to reconcile that for
I'm
yourself?
actually kind of teary eyed because, like, I even talk about that in the book, right? Those feelings are so real.
Yeah.
And what I want moms and parents to know is your feelings, they're validated, right? They're real, but it's not your fault.
Mhm.
Sometimes there are things that happen. Like for Chloe, we found out through all of this that she had been sexually assaulted by another student.
Mhm.
She kept it from us. She carried the game, the shame and the guilt, right, of her on her own. And a child, they can't process that.
Yeah.
But then when you find out as a mom, the guilt is real and it is strong and it is a powerful force because then you feel like now you've not only let down your child, but you've let down your family. You've let down God
Mhm.
because you didn't notice. You didn't see the subtle signs. You didn't, but it's not your fault.
Mhm.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
And it is not our jobs as parents to carry our child's pain. It's our job to love them, to support them, to speak life over them, to help them advocate and for themselves and advocate for them and to navigate a scary world. But you cannot protect them from all things all of the time.
Right.
And that's okay. But I think what's important is that when you have situations with mental health, or even if it's not mental health, if it's another struggle that your child is facing, that
Right.
you get up every day and you show up and you fight for your child in a manner that is helping them to overcome and ultimately helping you to overcome and to thrive.
Mhm.
You have to say, I'm going to get up. That's another conscious choice.
Mhm.
We could have all buried our heads in the sand when we found out what had happened to Chloe
Yeah.
and just pretended it didn't happen. But that was going to serve no one.
Mhm.
It wasn't going to serve Chloe well. It certainly wasn't going to add to her healing.
Right.
And so, like, it hurts my heart when moms feel so much guilt and shame, like things are their fault.
Mhm.
I even talk about this in the book. I question everything. Man, did I not see something? Was she did this happen? Did it happen in where did it happen? Like, how we were careful. We didn't let her go to someone else's house. We didn't let her spend the night. We didn't do all of these things that we thought were right in protecting her. But at the end of the day, and the realization has to come not only for Chloe's healing, but also my own healing,
Yes.
is that it is not my fault.
Yeah.
And I think moms need to hear that over and over. It is not your fault. You are not the source of their pain. But you have to make the choice that you're going to show up every day.
Yeah. And it's interesting, right? Because you need to have, again, coming back to the boundaries and clarity, because sometimes children go through very painful experiences and they will also blame the parents, which compounds that. If you're already feeling guilt and then your child is blaming you, then you really have to have that additional clarity that it isn't my fault. So I guess, how do you navigate those situations when not only are you beating yourself up, but then all of a sudden your child who's hurt and their pain, you can have space for their pain and compassion, but not taking on the blame.
But that would be, I mean, that's true of anything or anybody,
Yeah.
right? Bad things happen.
Yes.
Would it be our choice that our children struggle or they feel pain and hurt? No, but let's be honest, we're in a very fallen, cruel world.
Yeah.
And again, you have to just say, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to get you the help that you need. But you cannot take on their pain as if some way you're taking it away from them,
Mhm.
right? By you carrying this burden and making yourself feel unworthy and all the guilt and the shame, you're not helping them.
Yes.
I've honestly, and I questioned many things with Chloe, when we first found out and all of the things. And I questioned, what did we miss? How could we have missed this? But in the end, it doesn't matter what was or could have been, or did you miss this or did you not see this?
Mhm.
What matters is how you show up for them.
Mhm.
They cannot heal, and you cannot heal if you're stuck in the what if game. The what if game serves no one. And so when Chloe finally, when she was at rock bottom because she had broken into a liquor cabinet when she was home alone, broke two locks on the liquor cabinet to get into it. My two boys came home and found her unresponsive, laying face down in a pool of vomit. They called 911. We got her to the hospital. Her alcohol level was 4 times the lethal limit, not the legal, the lethal.
Mhm.
Chloe is very tiny. She's a competitive cheerleader. She weighs 100 pounds. She's 5'2". She's super tiny. And in that moment, I could have said, man, what could we have done differently? Or we didn't put 3 locks on that thing. So now she got into the liquor cabinet. What if we had put 3 locks? She was so determined that day to make the noise and all of the anxiety go away that was she was feeling. It wouldn't have mattered if we would have had 20 locks and a padlock on that thing. She had figured out and made the choice that that's what she was going to do to stop the noise.
Yeah.
But in the hospital, if I said, what if, and I just sat there and I couldn't move and I was paralyzed by the fear of, or the paralyzed by the what if game,
Yeah.
who did that serve? Was that going to help Chloe? No, because she'd already done what she was going to do. Now it was the moment to make that conscious choice. This is where we are, and I'm going to get up and I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to show you love. I'm going to show you unconditional love. I'm going to take care of you. But I'm also going to require you to do those things of yourself.
Mhm.
Chloe didn't know what she needed. She didn't. I remember bringing her home from the hospital and she was covered in vomit. It was all in her hair and it was everywhere. She was crying and she was shaking and she literally did not have the capacity to even shower herself. And in that moment, I stepped in, we showered her off, I got her all cleaned up. And by the grace of God, it was the only way that I could stand there and hold her up and say, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're going to help you. But I cannot carry this burden for you. I
Mhm.
cannot make your pain go away. I can't. I can't do it.
Mhm.
Physically, that's not even possible. The only one that can carry our pain is God, right?
Yeah.
But I told her in that moment, you are at rock bottom. You and you alone have to make the choice that you're going to go on a road of healing,
Yeah.
that you are going to go to the counseling sessions. You are going to do the work to get better. I will be there to love you, to support you, to help you, to advocate for you, to pick you up when you don't think you can go on.
Yeah.
But I cannot carry your pain for you.
Yeah. And it is a bit of a tricky situation when you find yourself in that, because I've been there where part of my ego will take over and be like, well, look, you can be the martyr in this, right? And it's tough. You have to really pull yourself out from that mindset that you're not going to be the martyr, because you're not really doing anyone any service by thinking like that, right? But so many parents fall into that, and then it becomes like there's so much resentment too, that why am I not being recognized for all the efforts I'm making and how I'm sacrificing everything.
It's funny that you say that because I do think that we often feel that way,
Mhm.
right? And I know that like I felt that way many times. But in the end, the only thing that mattered is that my daughter was getting the help that she needed
Mhm.
and she was on the road to healing and she was going to be kept alive.
Yeah.
Right? I was going to do everything in my power to keep her alive. I love her. But at the same time it comes back to that surrendering that
Yeah.
they're not ours.
Yes.
They're on loan and they have to want things for themselves. Your
Mhm.
ego can get in the way and say, I'm going to fix this. But how are you going to fix it for your kid? Can you undergo the cognitive behavior therapy, or the brain retraining? Can you do that? No.
No.
You cannot do those things. I think sometimes the lesson too is even as they get older, you still want to like think that you can do it all for
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
right? But you can't. Parenting teens and young adults is harder, I think, than having infants because you realize that they're going to make their own choices.
Mhm. Yeah.
And their choices are either going to have negative or positive consequences. And the only thing you can do is to support them, to
Mhm.
show up, to love them, to help them sometimes get themselves out of a hole that they're in. But you
Yeah.
can't do it for them because if you do it for them, what lessons have they learned? Like, I understand wanting to be the hero, right? Because I think that that's every parent's. I want to be the hero. I want to save you. Just let me do it. But you can't.
No.
You physically you can't. Emotionally you can't. And mentally you can't. You can't heal them. They have to want to heal themselves. And
Yes.
Chloe now to this day, she's 17 and she's happy and she's thriving. And she says to me right after her 16th birthday, she says, "Thank you. Thank you for fighting for me." So like it may not go recognized in that moment that you're giving everything of yourself to help them, whether it's physically you're giving of yourself, emotionally, financially, all of those things carry a burden for us as parents because we're the one that have to finance the services or medical doctors or whatever. But it may not be noticed in that moment. It may be years later when
Mhm.
your child looks at you and says, "Thank you.
Mhm.
I know what you did for me. I know the sacrifices that you made for me. Thank you." All Chloe had to ever say was thank you. And I would do it again and again and again because we've come out on the other side. And now she can look back and go, okay. And someday I hope that she will tell her story. She's not in that place where she's ready to tell her story,
Yeah.
and that's okay. I am an absolute 100% firm believer that God wastes nothing. There is purpose in our pain. Don't always see it right away, but I look now and I watch her and I see her on the competitive cheer mat and I watch her thriving and smiling and full of joy and full of the goodness of God.
Mhm.
And that has to count for something.
Yeah.
So give yourself grace. You're
Mhm.
not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of it is the other thing we have to recognize is when we try to rescue our children and do everything for them, we're also robbing them of the experience and the lesson that they're meant to learn. And I think we often lose sight of that. Now, the other piece I am curious to understand because unfortunately, the world we live in, there's a lot of focus on other things. And when people hear a story like yours or the challenges that come with parenting, a lot of people get turned away from that. Well, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to be a parent. But what would you say to some women that are often teetering on that decision and are often making that decision to not go ahead with becoming parents or mothers? What would you have to offer them, considering all the challenges and the struggles you had to go through as a mother?
Man, don't miss out on being a mama. It is a lot of work. It is, there is pain in it. And it doesn't matter if you have a story like mine where you have a child who has struggled so much. My two boys didn't struggle,
Mm-hmm.
but was it easy with them? No. They were teens, they were small children, they were disobedient, they were hard-headed, they're stubborn, they're all of the things. But when you see your children and you can see the world through their eyes, there is nothing on this earth that could bring you more joy than watching your children grow up and find themselves and who God called them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Man, don't miss that. The pain, it is real. It is hard, but life is pain.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you have children or not, there is not a life that is absent
Mm-hmm.
of pain. I mean, if you're an animal lover and you have dogs and cats and pets that you adore that have become your children, there's pain in loving them
Yes.
because someday you have to let them go.
Yeah.
Don't miss that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't miss that because the joy of being a mom, there is nothing like it. I would do it over and over again if it meant I got to watch my children grow up and happy and thriving and learning through the life's lessons that they've been taught. We don't always know the hand that we're going to be dealt in life. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you that there's joy in every day. There is something to be thankful for, and there is something to be joyous about. And even in the struggles, I could find joy. Washing Chloe's hair and getting the vomit out of her hair in the shower that night. We're standing there sobbing together, and all I can say is I love you. But I also know that like how thankful I was to be standing there crying with her and washing her hair with the vomit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't miss it. Don't get so hung up on that, oh, there could be pain. Well, there could be pain if you walked out the door.
Yeah.
Every day there could be pain.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that's where the purpose comes from, like you said, right? So you get to choose what kind of purpose you want in your life. So, yeah, no, I agree with you. Jen, thank you so much for this conversation. I know it's brought up a lot of emotions, but obviously part of your mission right now is to share your story for a reason. And for listeners that want to learn more about that and find your book, what are some ways they can do that?
So I do have a website. It's
Mm-hmm.
called warriormomcoach.net. Everything is on our website. So we have resources that you can download. They're free resources that you can download. We have a newsletter. We have a Warrior Mom Facebook group that you can click the link and join the group. It's a group of moms. All of our struggles in it are different. They're not all mental health. Some of them have children that are addicts,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a group where you can come and find support and non judgment and feel like you have a place, a safe space, a safe place of women that understand.
Yes.
That's on Facebook. Also, my book is available on Amazon. So it's Warrior Mom Rising, and it's on Amazon in the paperback version. And the ebook just launched yesterday. So they can download, if they have the Kindle free, it's free, or they can download it for 99 cents, the ebook version.
All right. We'll put all of that in the show notes, but thank you again, Jen. Appreciate your time today.
Gosh, thank you so much. I enjoyed it.